Hey guys, sorry for earlier there. I started my chat and for some reason I started my live stream, but the chat wasn't working for some reason. But it looks to be working right now. So I guess I'll just delete that other video earlier. But thanks for joining me. Hey, Jesus, how's it going? Nice to see you here, man. You're always around. Appreciate you joining and participating in the stream. Hey, 1700 Geothunder. Hey, Luke, how's it going? Yo, police already came knocking at my door. They are treating me like how they should treat Muslims. Oh, did they see you drinking before entering your home or something? Or did they see you drive in and ask you for a breathalyzer test? Because I could see that. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. The chat for some reason was all blank. It wasn't working. So I had to try to fix it. No, they think I'm a radical threat. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're probably a neo-Nazi or an evil right-winger, what Ralph Goodale is worried about right now. Because, apparently that is the big problem in Canada right now. That's what they want us to believe anyways. But obviously it's like that recent guy that killed those two white girls, tried to kill a bunch of other people, and would have killed more, but he probably ran out of bullets, so he shot himself instead. And there's also another girl that just got charged today who was, acting in the name of ISIS and was trying to kill people with a knife and tire iron at Canadian Tire like a year or two ago. A threat to Anarchor. What do you mean? Oh, a threat to Anarchor? Like, I don't even know what that guy is. Yeah, I guess he's a national socialist or something. I'm not sure. RCMP are now acting under Islamic law, have been for a while. Now they even have Islamic written on vehicles. Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. I just saw this other story from Western News, and apparently this university is going to have a fourth floor dedicated only to women, and it's mostly to do with religious reasons. So these girls with religious garbs can take off their hijabs because it's like, they're like, oh, it's oppressive that we have to wear our hijabs all day in school because there's men around. And then they even have a part for trans women, like a separate part, I think. But I'm like, I can see that becoming a problem too. People being like, well, I'm a real woman. I should be allowed to see the Muslim women without their headscarves. And then they're gonna be like, no, you're gonna go to hell because you're a fucking tranny, and that's gonna cause some strife, kind of like the whole women's march, where there was like, it's now no longer happening because of anti-Semitism from some of the leaders or something. But it was like Linda Sarsour and a couple other Muslim leaders. I guess they wouldn't denounce Louis Farrakhan. But, that's the inevitable outcome of the identity politics played by liberals. Is they're eventually just going to fight amongst themselves, kind of what you're seeing what happened right now with Karen Wang. Now she wants back. She's like, I'm not a racist, I want back into the party. And the liberals are like, no, you're still gone, we're not going to let you back in. But she wants back, and she might run as an independent, which is hilarious. And I'm like, good, let her run. I don't even think she should have stepped down to begin with. It's like, I want to see how many people vote for her with what she's saying, and if she still gets elected or whatnot. Can I then say all those Asian people that voted for her are racist or something because of the language she used? But now it's just funny. She's coming back. She's like, no, I reject my resignation. I'm not a racist. Everybody can attest to that. And I kind of agree. Like, I don't think what she said is necessarily racist. Like, she's like, I'm Chinese, I'm like you. He's Indian. Like, I guess, but it's like, this is just how it's going to be played in the future. And the more multi-ethnic we become, we're just going to see more of this type of politics being played. and it's not going to cease. And like I said, there's that Western University now. They have a 4th floor dedicated to just women on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So Western Student Recreation Center, patrons who identify as women, will have a space to themselves starting this week, thanks to pilot project looking to promote equitable participation and access to physical activity on campus, Western official announced. So it's kind of fucked up. So it's equitable because these women want to wear their hijabs or they don't want to wear their hijabs. Well, it's like, if that's the case, then leave fucking Canada. If you don't want to wear your hijab and you don't want men to see you without it because that's your religion, it's like now they're going to make, now men can't use the 4th floor anymore on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So now to stop discrimination against you, now you have to discriminate against us and against men as a whole. It's like, see, that's the only way that these people can work. The only way that they can have their positive rights is if they discriminate against other people. And they're like, oh, okay, well, I want to wear hijab and open. There's too many men. Now you can't use this space, and it's probably publicly funded as well. So taxpayer money is paying for, so these women can feel less oppressed by their fucking religion of peace or something. It's like, stop being a goddamn fucking Muslim. Go eat some bacon, and I don't know, go into hiding or something, because it's like I'm sick and tired of having to us make accommodations for people with these types of belief systems and religions. It's like, no, female genital mutilation is not okay. No, polygamy is not okay. No, honor killing is not okay. It's like, do we have to tell you these fucking things? With like really monitor you fucking people to do this? It's ridiculous. And then you got Ralph Goodale coming out, the biggest threat to Canada right now is right-wing terrorism. And it's funny how they link, see the title, right-wing neo-Nazi white supremacist groups and increasing concern. So he's linking all these groups together, right-wing. And, it's like, really, the right-wing, in my opinion, doesn't have too much to do with neo-Nazis or Nazis and stuff. Like, a lot of them are like National Socialist and stuff, but they're going to be like, they're right-wingers. Hey, Sidewalk 580 5828. Hey, and team, thank you for the chat. My name is William. I don't mean to be awkward. However, who is Ralph Goodale? Is he some politician? Yeah, he is the minister on policing now or something. He took over doesn't he have like 2 positions now after what's his name? Yeah, public safety. But like, doesn't he have like something to do with like immigration now or something too? Or did he leave that after the cabinet shuffle? I can't remember. See, Trudeau's had 2 cabinet shuffles and they're like, oh, whatever, not a big deal. But Doug Ford had one and they're like, whatever. This is the biggest deal ever. Oh my God. And they're freaking out because of the changes he's making right now as well in Ontario. And I find it so funny. It's like he's removing like a bunch of bureaucracy in the healthcare department that's going to save like millions of dollars every year. And they're like, oh my God, we're going to have less care. It's going to be shittier because we have less people divvying it out. And then he also did something with the tuitions and made it like he's not allowing like, I don't know, free people to go there for free, but he's lowering the tuitions by like 10% or something. And then they're like, somehow this is, it's going to hurt the poor and whatnot. But, and then I was reading one article and they're like, oh, it's only the rich elites that are going to get people who make $100,000 or more a year are going to get a break. I'm like, those aren't rich elites. It's like, like to a socialist, a rich elite is somebody who's like a mom and pop's store owner that like runs a store or something. And they're like, oh, you fucking bourgeoisie, you're hurting the proletariat. And you're just oppressing your fucking staff and the people that come and buy from you. You're just robbing them blind with your selling them candy and shit. White people don't know what it's like to be poor. Bernie Sanders, yeah. Yeah, multi-million dual citizen. Yeah, exactly. Like Bernie Sanders has multiple homes. His wife is like, I'm pretty sure facing charges for like some type of fraud she did with some company she worked with, which obviously he knew about because it's his fucking wife. And you know, like these socialists are all scummy. He's just like Karl Marx was. Didn't have a job until he's like 40 years old, and then his only real job was working for the government or something. So it's like, no, these career politicians, people don't know what it is to work. And that AOC girl, that Cortez girl, is just a younger version of Bernie Sanders, but she's female and she's a person of color. So that's just perfect for the left. You're going to see them move more in that direction in the future. Bank fraud and laundering. Thanks for the recognition. Yeah, no problem, man. If you if anybody highlights my name in the thing, I'll tend to read it if I do see it. Obviously sometimes I don't see everything, but I try to see or try to read most things. They do pop up. But Ralph Goodale, this is just funny. So Canada's Minister of Public Safety says right-wing white supremacist and neo-Nazi groups are an increasing concern and threat to Canadians. Regina, Canada's Minister of Public Safety says right-wing white supremacist and neo-Nazi groups are an increasing concern and threat to Canadians. Ralph Goodale said the groups promote hate, which manifests itself in violent anti-Semitism or in other crimes. So, I don't know what he's talking about. All the recent anti-Semitism that has been going on in Canada recently, which like the majority of them have been hoaxes. Like a good amount of the anti-Semitism that has been going on is hoaxes. And which I always hate about these hate crime stats is they never really take into account. It's pretty hard for a white person to have like a hate crime charge from like a minority person against them. You know what I mean? Like it's really easy for a white person to get a hate crime against somebody else, but it's really hard for somebody else to get a hate crime against a white person. So it's like, yeah, I don't really trust a lot of these numbers. Plus a lot of this shit are hoaxes. They are hoaxes. Obviously not all instances are hoaxes. Yes, there is real racism. Yes, there is real discrimination that exists. I'm not saying doesn't happen, because I know somebody's going to come in and be like, oh, you're saying that's all fake and it doesn't ever happen. That's not what I'm fucking saying. Yes, I've seen it. I've seen racist people, of course. Yes, it does happen. But there are right wingers bringing in third worlders to lower wages. There are liberals bringing in third worlders, but those people that call themselves they call themselves right wingers. But I guess it's the whole scale of left to right. Yes, it doesn't make a lot of sense sometimes, but it still is somewhat useful. So it's like, yeah, some people that consider themselves right on the right are for mass immigration and all this stuff, but they're more corporate right wingers per se. They're more statist. They're for big government. They're not for reducing the size of the government. They're for using the state to bring in a bunch of cheap labor and make so then they don't have to pay us more wages. Bring in third worlders because of their white savior complex. What you need to understand is there's no stopping. Yeah, well, I guess I could stop talking about this and you could stop watching it, I guess. I don't know. What do you want me to do? Say nothing? Talk about try not to wake anybody up and just lay down and die? I don't know, right? I would prefer not to do that. I think there is a chance to change people. I've known plenty of people who are also non-white who are for reducing immigration or cutting it off completely, and can understand, hey, like I already have a ton of people back in Africa and stuff. I don't need to take over your country. Not everybody thinks like that. It's not like, you understand, like, not most people that are coming here, it's not like they're coming here to like take over in their mind per se. A lot of people are just coming to live and stuff, and it's just kind of by sheer numbers and the amount that the government is bringing in, that over time people get more tribalistic and they will obviously align with their group more. But people don't necessarily come in with that intention. And I think, we can't lose out on hope to convince people or to wake people up to maybe turn things around. Yes, it's probably inevitable. Who knows? Maybe we have a 5% chance, but that's still a chance, right? That's still something. And I'd rather not become black-pilled, because when you become black-pilled, that's just like, I don't know. To me, it just seems like that's when you get very, narcissistic and, nihilistic, and you're like, fuck everything, fuck this, fuck that. So it's like, I'd rather not become black-pilled to some extent, but I understand what you mean. It does look pretty inevitable, especially with the rate of immigration that's coming in to Canada. Now we already got Ralph Goodale ignoring the Islamic problem that is going on all over the world, and is just focusing on right-wing extremism. And he alludes to more censorship that he wants the internet companies to do in like this article. But let me read the chat a little bit. If anybody has a question, just throw my name in the chat, by the way. Factors like deindustrialization. I want some illegals to shovel my snow. I think more like stupidity versus common sense. Left-right thing is just 2 slices of the kosher sandwich. Okay. Enough for the right and left. That's just Islamic diversity. Let's get in the middle and charge and take back what God gave us. Goodale pin Toronto sidewalk van driver, right wing. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Like in the article, a lot of the people he's saying are right wing are not even right wing, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this other guy was like some incel dude or something. The other guy, I don't even think he was necessarily right wing either. So it's just very loose associations, and they're just ignoring, the Danforth shooter and like that other woman I talked about, the other guy that tried to kill Harper a little while ago. The prime minister. Get in the middle and charge. We need to take back our God-given rights and freedoms. Why don't the racist and Arab, Asian, Black, and Latino countries just let another ethnicity hold political positions in any level of government instead of all coming here for better leaders? Yeah, exactly right. Let's see corporations sponsor immigrants so we know they have a job lined up. Yeah, exactly. We don't need the government to sponsor it for them. If they really want these immigrant workers, they can bring it themselves. And I saw some other article by like some trucking company. They're like, we need immigrant workers bad. And it's like, they just don't want to pay us more money. That is the gist of it. And they're like, we need more immigrants. We need more workers. I was also looking at this thing called the Century Initiative, because they were like promoting something on Twitter, like diversity and immigrants. They're like, immigrants contribute more to taxes than native-born immigrants, kind of trying to sell us to immigration. And they're like, even if that were true, which a lot of the numbers aren't, and they're like really manipulating shit, and also a lot of these immigrants are taking more benefits than the native population. So it works out that it costing Canadian taxpayers something like $30 billion every year for immigration. So they're trying to sell it to us, but like, even if it were true, I still don't want to be replaced. I don't know what I have to tell people, or how I need to like get it through your fucking heads. I don't think anybody, like, what did the natives, when they were being replaced by white people, were like, oh, but well, white people have a bunch of boats and technology. Well, yeah, let them replace us. You know what I mean? Like, no, they're probably like, no, let's stop this. Like, we don't care if they're more technologically advanced than us and have more things or whatever. No, we don't want to be, this is our land or whatever, right? But, as in the past, it's our land now. We stole it fair and square. But I'm kidding there. That's kind of funny. But yeah, we kind of did. We took it fair and square. It's ours now. And I'm kind of really annoyed at all these groups that are trying to stop a lot of these pipelines. But it's just come out recently. I have some other article up where this one girl was doing she's doing a bunch of digging, and it's like all these American companies, and like, yeah, the Tides Foundation by George Soros, and all these companies from America that are trying to destroy our energy sector and are funding Aboriginal groups to go and protest and to stop our pipelines from being expanded and shit. And the funny thing is there's like an Aboriginal group right now wanting to buy the Trans-Pacific pipeline that Trudeau bought. And it's like, what? How do they have that much money? Okay, what money? Who, like, that's clearly taxpayer money on top. Like, it's like, Jesus Christ, man, it's so fucking crazy. It's like, you have one group of them protesting against it. So it gets fucked, it gets delayed, all this crap. Our economy gets kind of screwed. And then you have another group going in, well, we want to buy like half of it so we can control it. And you're like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, this Canada, it's such a ridiculous goddamn country, especially under Trudeau and Freeland with their fucking antics and their stupid nonsense of virtue signaling every other day to the entire world. Like, look how great we are. We just shoved Australia out of the way. Like, come here, little Muslim girl. Come to Canada, right? It's like, oh, we're going to take you in. We're going to give you private security. We're going to do all this shit. And, oh yeah, fuck all you people and fuck the rest of Canadians. Fuck veterans. We're going to cut their funding by $1.8 billion. Fuck people from Alberta. We're going to put massive regulations on the coal or the oil industry, the Alberta tar sands, screw up all these fucking pipelines on purpose, and then spend a bunch of money trying to incentivize people to create green fucking energy. Do you think race-based politics is a natural outcome of Trudeau's post-national state? Yes, it's going to just increase tremendously. Like I read some quote the other day by Aristotle, and he was talking about how the only way a democracy can actually work, and I don't even think it can work even in a homogenous society, is in a homogenous society, right? So the only way that has a chance, I guess, of working is when it's more homogenous, because people are tribalistic. They, whether we like it or not, people will associate more with people who look like them. That's why this Karen Wang girl was like, look at me, I'm Chinese, he's Indian, because 50% of the people in Burnaby South plus are Chinese, okay? And there's a smaller percentage of Indian and all this other crap. And yeah, they're going to play this more. It's like they already do this openly already with white people continuously. Oh, well, you're just a white privileged male. Don't vote for this white privilege. That's what Alexander Ocasio-Cortez, that crazy socialist in America, did to her opponent. She's like, I am a young brown woman. He's an old white Democrat. Don't vote for him. Nobody cares, because it's the white people, the white men. We've already been demonized enough that you can be like, fuck white people and they're fucking this and fucking, you can say whatever you want, but if you just replace white with black or Jew or whatever else, people would lose their fucking shit and they'd be like, oh my God, you're the most racist bigot in the world. But the entire media and the mainstream media, celebrities, comedians, all these people talk like this 24/7. You wonder why people just say like the most ridiculous shit, racist shit about white people. So like, I don't even care that girl said that. I'm like, God, let her fucking run. Let's see how much support. And I want to see the division happen between the Liberal Party, because seeing a lot of people saying they want Jagmeet Singh to be the leader because it's going to be good for the Liberal Party, right? And I can see that, but he already had a fairly big lead on this girl, I think by like 10 or 15%, close to that, I'm pretty sure. So it looks like he was going to win regardless. But honestly, I think a lot of these people might go instead to the Liberals, but to the Green Party instead. I've seen a lot of people. I've seen the Green Party has increased because, you know, even if you see some of these leftists, they're mad at Trudeau because they're like, oh, he's trying to build the pipelines and he apprehended 14 natives. He hates natives. But I think a lot of Canadians kind of just ignore the rantings of Aboriginal people because we've just heard it so much that we're just kind of like, huh? Oh, okay, all right. You know, no offense to anybody who's Aboriginal here, but I'm saying, like, it's just like every other fucking day. I think whether you're liberal, conservative, or NDP, you're just kind of like, okay, all right. Yes. We'll do something for you. We'll do so. Just calm down. You know, yes, we colonized you. It's never good enough, though. You know, but that's the thing. There are some groups, there's some tribal groups that are willing to work, but then there's other ones that get all the media attention that are like, we're gonna fuck this up, and they're really being paid by George Soros. Like, oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist. It's like, no, he's literally funding the Tides Foundation. And there's like, you know, a bunch of other oil industries and stuff in America funding a lot of these activist groups. But I'll read a little bit more of the article here. But yeah, he says the van attack along Yonge Street in Toronto earlier last year had those kinds of roots, Goodale said Tuesday after a speech on national security at the University of Regina. So he's saying this attack, and you know why I said this? Because incels are connected to the right wing. You know, in the media, they're like, oh, they're all right wingers. They're all white nationalist. Like, incel to the regular lamestream media person to the regular person means white nationalist. So to Ralph Goodale, he's just gonna be like, he's a white nationalist because he's an incel, right? But that is bullshit. You know, it's a loose connection that he's deliberately making. And then 10 people died in April 2018 when Alec Minassian allegedly drove a rental van down the busy stretch, mowing down pedestrians. Goodale also used example of 6 people murdered inside a Quebec City mosque in 2017 because they were at a prayer. He said the suspects were inspired by what they saw on the internet. So it's funny how he attacks the internet right away, right? They may have behaved themselves as singular individuals doing very evil deeds, but they were inspired by something and largely that relates back to what they saw on the internet, Goodale said. Goodale said Daesh and Al-Qaeda aren't the only sources of dangerous extremist violence, and it can come from any type of fanaticism. So he's even he's even a pussy, he calls it Daesh because he doesn't want to offend Muslims, because calling it ISIS or something offends Muslims or something, right? So, it's Daesh and Al-Qaeda or whatever. And like, fuck off, you stupid fucking piece of shit. But, you know, these people are traitors to Canada, each and every one of them. Yeah, they're trying to put a right-wing spin on it, on the Danforth shooting. I don't know how they're going to do that, but they're somehow going to do it. You know, it was a mental illness problem at first, but now it's going to be a right-wing thing apparently. But yeah, you know, the rhetoric that they're using is it's pretty fucking dangerous. He said the federal government is working with the internet providers to eliminate the problem, and so far there's been pretty decent cooperation. So, you know, it's like, these companies are supposed to be free companies, like on the free market, but he's openly saying the federal government is working with these internet providers and stuff to remove the problem. And it's pretty decent cooperation. So what does that mean? It means that people like me, people like anybody else that's talking about the threat of Islam or, you know, white people being replaced, which is fucking happening. They tell you openly that it is happening. We need immigrants to pay for old people. But if I say it, you know, that's an increase of right-wing hate. All the internet's going to silence me, and there's justification because the things that I'm talking about is going to get people to go and act violently, even though the things that they advocate or they talk about does get people to go and do crazy things. Like, what's his name? Rand Paul is coming here for his hernia surgery because, his neighbor ran and attacked him because, I don't know, he signed something on healthcare or something like that. I can't remember, some bill. He's like, oh, you're banning Muslims, or you're pulling out of the Paris Climate Agreement. You're going to kill the entire world by doing this. Just they use such crazy rhetoric to try to make people scared and fear. But, they're going to blame people like, me or whatever, talking about real things that are happening. And it's like, oh, well, this is hateful rhetoric. Well, they're just making predictions of the future, being like, oh, if we don't change the course we're going in right now, we're all going to die. And there's going to be hundreds of millions of people starving to death in the streets if we don't all become vegan soy boys immediately and live in little tiny houses and bring in tons of immigrants to pay for old people. It's like, all white people, stop having kids, live in trailers, go to work, pay taxes, and then have the immigrants come in, have a bunch of babies, replace you, and then have automation come in and take all the jobs. Is this their fucking plan? Like I said, the trucking company, they're like, we need mass scale immigration because we need workers because the youth don't want to do long scale trucking anymore, long haul trucking. But what's going to happen? Isn't everybody scared about automation? Isn't like trucking and these type of things going to go first? So it's like, what, we're going to bring in a bunch of immigrants for this job that's just going to be replaced apparently in 10 years by automation? Is that really a good fucking idea to do that? No, I don't think it is. I think just have these companies pay their truckers more money to incentivize people to do that type of fucking job. They're like, we already pay them tons of money. Well, pay them more money. Simple as that. Pay them more money. Okay. The solution to everything isn't always bring in immigrants. Oh, just bring in immigrants. Oh, just bring in immigrants. Well, the more immigrants in an area, the safer it gets. This is some fucking shit they were releasing the other day. They're like, oh, the more immigrants, the lower the crime rate gets and all this shit. And you're like, oh my God, man. Like, just the sheer amount of propaganda being released every single day to Canadians is ridiculous. Have you seen Die Hold Foundation? I'd like to know your thoughts. No, I've never heard of Die Hold Foundation. What is that exactly? Die Hold Foundation. Foundation. What is that? It is created for the study, development, of theory of multidimensional reality to conduct experiments and field expeditions. No, I don't know anything about that. It's something to do with to gather information on the past climate and biomass sector regions of Earth for period of interest. That looks like a good amount of reading right now. I'm not sure if I'm going to have time to look into that, but the media spin lies is insane. We just need to make the requirement to immigrants so high that they only compete for jobs with people who make over 100K. Let's see how fast they say no. Right. If we are going to have immigration, we're going to have to, make the qualifications pretty high to get into the country to begin with. We got to cut off a lot of this family reunification bullshit that is increasing under the Trudeau government, to like, I don't know, 20-some thousand people every year. That's ridiculous. And, a lot of these people that are crossing the border illegally are also eligible and stuff to bring their family members over and stuff eventually. It's like, if they get approved, and it's like anybody who crosses the border illegally should just automatically be turned back. You should not be approved if you're crossing that way. And even Trudeau, I saw this thing, I think it was Steeper or whatever. I can't remember, it was on Reddit. or was it Twitter? I can't remember. And you see Trudeau even calling them illegal because they're like, well, if you cross the border legally or illegally, then, or I mean, irregularly, he tried recovering himself. Hey, Voltron, how's it going, man? Die Hold Foundation, is that where you can make Muslims disappear into dimensional vortex of a living hell? Okay. No, I never heard of that. And legal immigration as well. Yeah, I'm for it. I'm for ending pretty much all of it entirely. And maybe I don't know. There's people would be like, well, there's this specific situation that blah blah blah, and you're like, okay, I'll let 6 people in. Okay, but majority, no, we're not letting people in. But once you make a couple exceptions, it seems to just keep increasing and increasing. You keep making more and more exceptions along the way. You can be for 0 all you want, but in reality, you won't get that. Right? Exactly. Well, like my goal is 0, but I'm settling for less, and then convincing people for even less. And less and less, and who knows? Like, I don't want 450,000, and I don't want 250,000. I want less than that. How do you rate Trudeau's town hall sessions? I think they're abominable. Like, they're terrible. I hate his sessions completely. This is just free commercials for Trudeau. Like, this is all it is. It's free media coverage. So then that his other opponents don't get, essentially, these town hall things or whatever. And at what, on the taxpayer dime too? Like, we're all paying for this. Like, what did he do too? He used the what do you call the a federal building to shoot one of his commercials, and then he had to go and pay them back, like, I don't know, $500 or $5,000 or whatever for using the space. Like, this guy's done so many goddamn ethics violations. Like, I really wish the questioners would bring up the groping scandal a lot more. And, it's like, oh, these unvetted questions. Look at Trudeau take these unvetted questions. It's like, I don't know about that. Obviously there's going to be some they'll let slide, and they'll be like, oh, I can handle that one. I can deal with that one. Like, even the one guy who's like, Islam and Christianity don't mix. Like, I agree with that, but he's like, they're trying to kill us. Like, he just kind of sounded stupid. Like the way he was giving it out, and like, explaining the problem. I was like, oh man, you're just dropping the fucking ball, and it just allowed Trudeau to be like, hey, everybody, don't let him speak. Let him speak. Whereas a month before, he's telling that Quebecer lady, you're a racist bigot. You shut your mouth. You're a racist bigot. When she's like, what about the old stock Canadians? Right? It's like, and even Trudeau, I saw something today that he's going to work with Quebec on reducing immigration in Quebec. Isn't it funny how, like, the only place that diversity is not like imposed on, or where they're willing to work on reducing some immigration, is on Quebec, right? But obviously, he needs that fucking province, and but that's why I hate politics in general, because the politicians are always going to pander to the people who they think is going to elect them, or who they need, and they're going to ignore everybody else. They're going to be like, they're going to give them pennies or pittance and whatnot, and they're going to pay attention completely to the people that vote for them, right? So it's just a corrupt system in general, right? Yeah, right. Well, there's 600 million to the media, plus the increase of the CBC budget. Yeah, we need a Trump. Definitely. Didn't Trudeau give the media? Yeah, he gave them, more than $1 billion so far. So, you already see the effects of that in a lot of reporting right now, and how things are framed. And you're like, oh, they're getting that Trudeau money. You can tell they're getting that Trudeau fucking money. I wish my head was still in the sand. Yeah, I know what you mean sometimes, right? What's here though? And also, Toronto homeless told to leave tent cities despite fact shelters operating at or over capacity. So, John Tory of Toronto is getting all these people to leave the shelter, even though they're, these tent cities, even though they're all going to be rejected from the shelters that are getting priority compared to these people, right? It's just insane that this is going on, right? Pretty much, yeah. You're complicit, Jesus. Am I buffering? Okay. Waking up is uncomfortable. The cards are stacked against freedom in Canada. Yeah, they definitely are. A lot of people nowadays are convinced that, like things like the Constitution in America, things like freedom of speech and freedom of expression are antiquated ideas. And, oh, but that kind of get that, that helps white supremacists, white supremacists use free speech as a cover to push their narrative. So, what they're really telling you is that, oh, well, so we need to regulate free speech so these evil white supremacists can't use it. Just like Ralph Goodale is saying, oh, we need to regulate the internet so these evil right wingers don't promote hate that causes violence. Where there's been Islamic terrorism going on for fucking decades, and only now he's like, oh, we need to crack down on the internet. But now he's saying we need to crack down the internet, but it's only to crack down. We know who he's going to crack down on. It's not going to be the Islamic fucking imams that are, preaching hate and shit. It's going to be right wingers that are saying, like, telling the truth about Islam and telling the truth about what's going on in Canada. They're going to be ones targeted, just like what's going on in fucking Europe. And there's already some guy too. It's pretty crazy in Canada. He's being charged $42,000 because he made fun of some retard guy, some guy in Quebec. He made some guy who had some disability, and I got offended, and now he has to pay $42,000, like the lower courts ruled. Some comedian. I'm like, this needs to be brought to the Supreme Court, but I don't even trust the Supreme Court in Canada. They're probably going to rule like, yeah, you can't make fun of retarded people in Canada anymore, because if you do, you're infringing on their rights to not be offended or something. You're just like, the rights of this retarded person supersede you making fun of them. It's like, no, that's bullshit. It might be a crass joke. It's mean, but I don't think people should be charged $42,000 just because of that. Like, where was this story here? I think I'd found it a little bit earlier here. Oh my God, get the cat hair. What is this? Where was this story? I don't know. I don't have it up, but fucking cat. But what do you call it? The I don't know. If you find it, you go Quebec comedian, $42,000. You'll find it on YouTube. And yeah, the Human Rights Tribunal is charging him, for that. And it's like, do we have freedom of speech in Canada now? It's like, I'm pretty afraid of saying certain shit on here. I'm like, if this guy's getting charged $42,000 for making fun of this guy that, like, I don't know, he sang with Celine Dion when he was younger. And the retarded guy, he's still like, oh, 6 years later, I'm still feeling the effects of the jokes that he made. And it wasn't even that bad, really. And I'm like, are you kidding me, man? I don't feel, you know what? Me treating you equally is me not giving a shit about your feelings, okay? Like that's honestly the whole fucking deal of it. It's like, if I pander to you, if I like, oh no, I'm going to treat you differently because you're physically disabled, then that to me is discriminating against you. I'd rather treat you fucking like a regular fucking person instead of babying you and stuff, right? Like a lot of women want you to do to them, like, treat me equally, but give me all these extra privileges and rights and all these extra things, but treat me equally like a regular person. Don't. It's like, what do you want? Do you want to be treated like a child, or do you want to be treated like an adult? Pick one. Pick one fucking thing. You know, it's not that fucking difficult. But, you know, people want the best of one thing, but not the worst of it. You know, a lot of people, they want all the privileges of being a man, but not all the responsibilities of being a man. And essentially, you know, like nowadays, like, oh, you know, I want to work and do that, but I don't want to work. Like, you know, not many women work roofing. I've seen a couple, but not many women I see working certain jobs. And they're not fighting and clamoring to get these positions. And it's like, oh, they only want the executive ones and the things that are, you know, pay a lot of money. It's people aren't searching for equal representation in all fields, in all things. It's only certain things. You know, nobody's looking. Whenever men are way overly disproportionately represented at something like that is bad, like, oh, heart disease or something, they're like, well, we need to get this lower because this is a national emergency. But whenever woman, it's, wow, the woman's rate of something just past men's, we need to do something about this. This is crazy. This is horrible. We need a national, international group of people to stop this, right? You're like, oh my God. And then the Gillette commercial comes out, like, blames men for all things, and all these feminists are like, oh, what's the problem with this commercial? This is not a big deal. Oh, if you got mad at this, you're probably the problem. But if I made a commercial with a bunch of women that were acting all sleazy and whoring themselves out, and at the end I was like, be better, you can be better, they'd be like, oh my God, this is slut shaming, this is attack on women, how could you do this? We need to completely destroy this company like Gillette and call all of their other companies and boycott these, like all of the companies that Procter and Gamble you know, support right now would be completely boycotted and out of business or something if you know, they did the same thing that they did to men, to women in general, right? And another thing I didn't talk about in my video when I talked about that is that whole racial aspect to the whole video too, where it's like, you notice all the bad guys were white and all the good guys were like black in the video. Did you notice that? How all the people stopping like some guy from doing something bad was like a black guy being like, hey man, that's not cool. Hey man. Where it's like, you know, realistically, you know, the rates of assault are different compared to both groups. And one group, not the white one, is more prevalent when it comes to assaults. So it's like, you know, it's not even realistic either, the commercial itself. Once again, you know, so they were trying not to piss off the black men. See, it was just targeting white men. That's what they really wanted, right? It was, you know, they're targeting majority white men, you know, and stuff, and they're just ignoring everybody else. And they're like, oh, you know, the women have no problem in this. There's black men don't have no problem. It's all white men. Stop being, you know, stop. You're like that. What's that person, that Brock person that a lot of liberals really fucking hate, that, like, I don't know, fingered a girl or something? They're like, oh, he's the monster. He's a monster. He's the worst person in the world. We need to fucking kill this piece of shit. You know, something Brock. I can't remember his name. I don't know. The SJWs and liberals, or the Young Turks, raged about them a lot when all that was going on. The camera is in focus, or it is a problem on my end? It might be. I'm not sure. Is it focused? Is it not focusing for anybody else? Because on my end it looks fine, but I don't know, when I watch the video later sometimes, like, just to see if it looks a little bit out of focus. So I don't know, I have to, you know, switch something or change it up a little bit. Okay, that's good. No, that's how he looks. Hey, fuck you, Jesus. Fuck you, you bastard. Yeah, it is your end, Vicky. Don't question me. It's your end. Fadox, Gillette should have targeted Islam. Yeah, exactly. That would be. Imagine if they targeted Islam, the Gillette commercial, and they had a bunch of like imams or something, or like I don't know, like beating women and like I don't know, doing what they do in Muslim countries, throwing gays off of rooftops, and then they're like, "Be better" at the end, like throwing gays off rooftops and like fucking goats in the asses and shit. And they're like, "Oh, be better, be better." But let's see here. But the researcher, but yeah, there's news thing, the university. Oh yeah, and then there's another thing with some some names of all the people in here. They're all seem to be kind of Arab sounding names. Alex, Gakar, Adam Gakar, Mohammed Sarwar. There's 4 men and 1 woman, 1 teen arrested in GTA taxi fare scam. So, they were, all these Muslim people were taking people's, what do you call it? Banking information and then switching out their cards and then later, like, stealing all their money. Stop stoning women. Yeah, but, that's what I hate. There's a lot of people that come into Canada and then you see them immediately get charged with like these, fraud things, fraud cases. And you're like, do we really need immigration this much when we have all these taxi cab drivers doing this to people, like stealing their money? Like I said before, this one guy left this girl out in Winnipeg in -30 temperature late at night because he didn't feel like driving her. And you're like, and then people are like, oh, well, Canadians do crimes too, and you do bad things too. It's like, yeah, but we don't need to bring more of it in. Like, that doesn't really make much sense to me either. Do we really need to import more of it, with groups that are going to do disproportionate amounts of it? I don't think that's a really good idea. And especially with groups that are likely or are prone to maybe commit Islamic terrorism. A Buddhist is never going to become an Islamic terrorist. They're never going to become an Islamic terrorist as long as they're Buddhist. Same with a Christian, but a Muslim has a chance of becoming a Muslim extremist. Not even terrorism we really need to worry about. It's more the Islamism. It's more them taking over all of our institutions, our educational institutions, our politics, pretty much like what they're doing right now. Like with that one school, now they're making accommodations so these girls so they can not wear their hijabs. If it was up to me, I'd be like, fuck you, wear your hijabs or get the fuck out, or leave the goddamn country. I'm not gonna make accommodations so you can segregate yourself from fucking men. It's like, no, Western men, we're not going to go and rape you because we see your hair, okay? We're not going to beat you and rape you because we see this. Maybe that's the way it works in your country, but that's not the way it works here. So, if you have a problem with that, I don't see why it's like we need to make accommodations for you. You need to make accommodations for us when you come into our country, not the reverse. But it seems to me like, in Western countries, we do the opposite of what we should be doing. Instead of them being grateful that they're coming into our country, they're leaving their shit country, we fill it into their head. It's like, no, we're grateful for you. We need you more than you need us. Whereas that's not the case. They need us more than we need them. And, the government needs them more than they need us, right? And it's like, or for the time being, or Trudeau does, if anything, he needs their votes. So that's why he doesn't care about us. That's why he's spending He's increasing our deficits and budgets to spend on illegal aliens and immigrants and refugees and increasing immigration. And this is where all this money is going, to programs for women overseas to educate them, so then they, once they grow up there, then they can just come here and work for fucking cheap. Yeah, Canada is now an irregular country. I would never piss in a Muslim mouth if their teeth were on fire. In China, they have massive million of Muslims in education camps. Yeah, exactly. Why isn't Trudeau saying anything about all the education camps in China right now? You know, he's still willing to do deals with China. No matter what they do to our people, they're going to sentence one of our people to death. They have all these other people. They don't even allow them to have representation. They're being interrogated, you know, constantly. They're in rooms with just light on 24/7. No word. No, he's not even going to call China to say anything about them. Whereas China, you know, fears Trump, and they you know, they are actually going to play ball with him eventually. And one of the only reasons that they don't have to as well is because they have like Canada that is kind of like still more or less allying with them as opposed to allying with America. So we need to ally directly with fucking America, which we should be doing, and help them, have them help protect us. Essentially, that's what we need on the world fucking stage, especially if we're going to be stupid enough to start like condemning all these people and whatnot with no fucking power behind us. It makes no sense. You're gonna alienate Trump in America because he's an evil, racist bigot, and make friends with China, a communist fucking dictatorship. But see, this is what these liberals have been doing for decades. They did this in like, you know, what was it, like the 40s and 50s and stuff with Russia. You know, they went over there. There was like the New York Times and stuff writing all these propaganda pieces saying how great Russia is and how amazing Russia is, and, you know, covering up for them and all the camps and the killings that were going on in Russia. It seems a lot kind of like what they're doing with China, where they're kind of ignoring a lot of the bullshit that they do so they can just do trade with them. Right. So it's, let's ignore the bad things about China. Let's only attack Saudi Arabia because they're kind of working with Trump, and attacking Saudi Arabia is indirectly attacking Trump as well. You know, so that's the only reason that they're going out. If Trump was attacking Saudi Arabia and saying, well, then they would be working with them instead. Right. These people, they have no morals. They pick and choose who they're going to defend on the world stage. If they really cared, like I said, they'd be calling out that girl in Pakistan who is facing, like, I don't know, a death sentence for drinking out of a fucking same fountain as another Muslim or something. Re-education camps. Yeah, that's what's going to be happening very, very soon. The UN Agenda 2030 will kick into high gear very soon. Yeah. They're gonna attempt it. Yeah, Asia BB. Money China, they all hypocrites. Yeah. No, Asia BB, yeah, that's the girl, and, you know, it's crazy. It's like, yeah, that one Canadian who's facing now a death sentence in China, with his case being overturned, and still Trudeau has not called them directly and being like, you know, what the fuck, like, if they kill this guy, then, and if we still keep dealing with China, then I don't know what the hell is wrong with us. We are a cucked fucking country. You know, I don't know how they're going to spin this to make it seem like he's doing the right thing, but, you know, I don't know what the right course of action is necessarily to help this guy, to free him either, right? Like, you know, I guess you don't necessarily want to come out and condemn them openly per se and be like, fuck you, China, because, yeah, they do have some of our people there by the balls. But, you know, I don't see Trudeau really doing too much. And if the guy does get released, it's probably going to be because, like, America or something, or Trump negotiated it and got them released. And then Trudeau's later going to come by and, like, take credit for it. Like, watch, that's probably what's going to happen. It's going to be something where, like, Trump, like, out of, like, his kindness, you know, somehow negotiate something to release them. on behalf of us. Who knows? But we'll see how this whole thing plays out. Avoiding my question. If Trudeau, I'm not avoiding it. Is Trudeau using my tax dollars to fund terrorists? Am I complicit too? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I guess it's happening, but can you stop it? No. So no, you're not complicit. If you were deliberately giving him money and stuff to do it, then yes. But no, you're not complicit in funding terrorism because your government is funding terrorism. We should not hold people accountable necessarily for what their government is doing, because we do live in a democratic system where a lot of people are constantly being lied to. People vote for things they don't know what they're voting for. And also, once again, it's a democracy. You can have multiple party systems. So, like in Canada, Trudeau won with 38% of the vote. So 38% of the country is deciding what all of our money is being spent on and all of our resources are going. And even within that 38% of people that voted for him, there's tons of disagreements on how that money should be spent, as well as Trudeau lying to people on how he's going to spend that money. So no, I don't necessarily blame people for being, you're not funding it. We need our dollar stores. Yeah, dollar stores. Those are good. 38% of the vote. Wow. Yeah, right. So, because we have multiple parties here in Canada, you don't need 50% of the vote or whatnot or more or of the voting populace to win. You can win with like 30, 35 something percent. I think we're somewhat accountable. We need to say no. Yeah, yes, there is accountability, and we do need to hold ourselves somewhat accountable. But who needs to be held more accountable? We could all hold each other accountable, and we could be like, well, it's the boomers. They're the ones that set it in motion. It's really all their fault. But then you're like, okay, well, not all boomers were for it. And it's like, what do you want? Did you want them to stand up in front of like the tanks like they did in like that Tiananmen Square in front of the stop this? It's easier said than done. You know what I mean? Like, but yes, we're all accountable to some extent as well with our greed, I think, because a lot of people over time have been conditioned or have been lured into the idea of a lot of increase of the government and socialism. And really, the increase of socialism and stuff is one of the only reasons why they can justify bringing in more immigrants to pay for the pensions and all the increase of social spending that they have done over the years. So, if we didn't want, the government to provide all these things for us, they'd have very little argument as to bringing immigrants over to Canada, because that is literally the only argument they have, is that you're dying. We need to bring in people to replace you, to pay for the pensions, to pay for the social programs and all these other things that you guys want. But realistically, we don't need these things a lot of the times. We'd be better off without them. We'd be better off having a free market system that has competition, that provides things at a cheaper, better price, and that is more efficient and probably better. You would get better healthcare in a truly free market system. But we need our government cut by 90% right now. Right, exactly. If we can cut the government by like 90% at least, then they'd have very few arguments. And look how much they're freaking out. Doug Ford, he's cutting the government with healthcare, and he's cutting a bunch of bureaucracy, this like LNC something group. And all it is a bunch of bureaucrats saying how money should be spent. And they're like losing their fucking shit about this. And they're like, this is 90 million that could be saved. But they're like, oh, we're going to be losing tons of money and, lowering the tuition of university. That means all these universities are going to be losing out on hundreds of millions of dollars. Oh my God. It's like, we can't lower the tuition. This is going to hurt the poor. It's like, what? This is some Orwellian doublespeak. It's like, lowering the price on things is going to hurt the poor people. This makes a lot of sense. Making things cheaper, it's going to hurt the poor. What? Like, who's reading this? Like, what? Doesn't make any sense. But they just say shit, and they're like, oh, maybe somebody, because of, I have a blue check mark near my name and I work for the CBC or this or that company, that they're going to believe me. They're just going to believe what I say. Yes, a bunch of illiterate Muslims sustaining my pensions. Rolf, right? Exactly. But that's the thing. That's their argument, right? It's like there's not too much validity behind it necessarily. Like, all these people are paying huge amount of taxes, but it's kind of like the numbers in the books. They can just kind of be like, one person produces roughly this much amount of tax money, and we could write that as a future payment type thing, right? And it's like they haven't even produced that money, but because they just exist there in their life of working age, they can be like, oh, well, they're probably going to produce this much wealth. We're going to take out a loan for how much wealth we think they're going to produce in a year and pay for all this shit right now off of that one person. That's why a lot of these states want illegal immigrants, because let's just say they can't even vote. They get counted towards the census. And then that's because they get counted towards the census, that state gets more funding, they get more representation, they get all this other shit because they just have that extra body in their state that they can say like, oh, well we need another 10 million for healthcare funding because we have this extra million bodies in the state that are going to need funding for healthcare because illegal aliens use the fucking healthcare system in America. So, they just want these bodies in here, and a lot of it has to do with, like the debt system, taking out loans on people and shit. But that's the way to go. Not 100% socialist, not 100% liberal, 50%. No, I disagree with that. No. 100% capitalist all the way. 100% capitalist all the way. Not 50% socialist, 50% capitalist. That doesn't work. The whole problem is statism. The whole problem is the statism. And if you have 50% socialism, 50% something else, the socialism is just going to grow. It's just going to keep growing and growing and growing and growing. Then visit Denmark that has tons of capitalism. It's like a lot of these people, they think that they're referencing actually socialist nations, whereas Denmark actually came out and attacked like Bernie Sanders. It was like, hey, stop calling us socialist nations. You know what? You're talking about a mixed economy, just like Canada is a mixed economy, just like America is a mixed economy. A lot of these places have more socialism than Denmark does. Before Trump, it was a lot harder to build a business in America in some places than it was in China, right? And are you going to think, you're going to say like China is practically a communist nation, but you can have aspects of capitalism in these fucking socialist nations like Denmark, like all these other things. Plus, they are homogenous, okay? Small little fucking place, not a lot of immigration, not a lot of black people, not a lot of people, not a lot of illegal aliens coming into the fucking country using the social services illegally and costing everybody else more fucking money. Just leave my channel. Socialist retards need to fucking go. Honestly, I'm not gonna argue with that bullshit anymore. Fuck that stupid shit. It's capitalism, it's freedom, not this 50% socialism bullshit. Oh, well, if we just get the right leader in to divert the money right and divide the wealth equally, things will be better. No, stop giving people negative incentives. Like, stop giving people welfare. Stop paying people to do bad things. This is the problem. This is the problem. People need to, like, fucking survive on their own goddamn merits. And if you are so kind and fucking generous, donate your own goddamn money to them. Give them, go work, Go work a fucking hard job, and then at the end of the day, look at your fucking money and be like, okay, I'm gonna give 40% of it to the fucking poor, and do that if you're such a good, kindly fucking person. Because people, they don't understand the way that the government ruins fucking everything and makes everybody poor in the long run. They're like, oh, we're gonna put some regulations on these fucking businesses to make sure they don't take advantage of people. But then what they end up doing is they just end up creating doors that other people can't get into, so then they can create businesses and compete with these other people that create regulations to protect the people. It's like, what do you mean 50% socialism? Like, what does that even fucking mean? You know what I mean? It's like, we'll just provide healthcare because the healthcare in Canada is so fucking great. There was just some girl, I was reading a story, the people at her doctor's thing, they turned her down for like a day. She had like a huge gaping wound. She could see her bone. They're like, the people, like the nurses were talking in the office. They're just shooting the shit, saying how much they hated their job. And the lady said, she's like, well, that's unfortunate. So they slammed the door on her and see her for hours and hours. They told her to go home. So, and she saw some other doctor and like, wow, this is a serious injury. They should have seen you right away. So this is the level of care in our fucking socialist goddamn healthcare system. I don't know. I can't do this shit. But no, I can't handle anybody who talks about socialism is probably a national socialist. If you're a right winger type person and talking about immigration and stuff like I am, and you're like hardcore into like the socialist shit, you're probably a national socialist. I don't agree with it. And I think socialism in any aspect is stupid. It's stupid. It doesn't, you looking at other countries and comparing it to America and thinking America is a capitalist nation is where you're going wrong. It's where you're wrong completely, right? America has so much goddamn fucking socialism. It's ridiculous. It's got almost more than other countries. People, well, America is a capitalist country. But they're just as capitalist as Denmark is, essentially. They have freedom of expression, speech, and a few other things there. But other than when Trump coming along, Obama was making it almost as hard to start a business in America as it was in all these other countries, including Denmark, including all these other places that are smaller and stuff, right? And like it's, you're comparing it to America as it is. You don't know what an actual capitalist system and how fucking wealthy people will be. Like then then Denmark, comparing it to that, to an actual free market system, capitalist system, there'd be no comparison. There'd be no comparison whatsoever. But people still, they think America has a private healthcare system. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. There's so much misinformation out there. But they think that, like, a lot of people in America, look, you cannot refuse service. Hospitals, doctors can't refuse people in America. So if you go to a doctor and you need help, and if you're poor and you can't pay for it, guess what? You're not going to pay for it. They're not going to make you pay for it. And a lot of the reports that they released to say all these people are going bankrupt for healthcare in America, turns out a lot of them were bullshit. And it was like a much smaller percentage, like 1% of people that had any type of bankruptcy. And it was people that bankrupt later in life for like other reasons. And that just kind of like tipped the cake for them. So it's like, oh, it was all healthcare. But people had better healthcare before Obama introduced all of his new legislation and all this stuff, and because they had more access. If you truly understand capitalism and free market and competition, there's no, like, you should be like, of course we're going to get a better product. Of course we're going to get cheaper prices. Why wouldn't you get cheaper prices if you add competition? Why wouldn't you get cheaper prices? Unless the people are working together. But all that really takes is one person coming in and undercutting that group of people working together to tumble it all down. And the only reason a lot of corporations can work together right now is because there's a lot of other regulations preventing smaller people from coming up and usurping that corporation. So then they can collude together, set prices. Like this shit, it's complicated. Like, it's not as simple as people think. Like, I've seen people who make a point where capitalism fails is when corporate companies forsake making money just to put out a social agenda, right? People who make a point where capitalism fails is when corporate companies forsake making money just to put out a social agenda, right? Well, people are going to make, but can you blame the what do you call it? The company capitalizing on a bunch of retards? You know what I mean? It's like the problem is the retards existing, finding this stuff appealing, like some stuff people should be able to see through it. They should be able to be like, oh, that's bullshit. That's stupid. So that's like a problem of like the educational system and shit like that. And yes, there's going to be bad people. There's going to be bad corporations or bad people in a capitalist society too. There's going to be people trying to take advantage of you in this society, in a socialist society, and in all societies, right? They're always going to try to get one up on you. That's never going to stop, right? But at least within the free market, those people eventually get found out, usually, and they're not usually protected by the government and made into a monopoly like Bell or the telecom industries in Canada. That, yeah, they're like, oh, we're not going to allow American competitors to come in here because it's going to ruin Canadians and in the Canadian-owned industry. Or no, it's just going to give us more competition and better prices, and it's going to give them less money. That's why they don't want competition. That's why they want to import a bunch of fucking immigrants, because they don't want to pay us more money, Liberal power. Well, Dr. Watson said he hopped everyone was equal. He added people who have to deal with black. Yeah, I read that guy that guy that had his things removed and all his qualifications removed because he said that thing. It's like, it's not even racist, and it's just funny. Socialists fight back. Hey, AJ, at it again tonight. That's good. Hey, man, how's it going, buddy? I want to live in a capitalist society. Yeah, it's like, and you know what? Capitalism itself was named by Karl Marx. So even the name itself has like negative connotations from the very beginning, like capital, the capital, capital. And it's just voluntary transactions between people, like, and private property. That's basically all it is. It's saying, hey, I want this and you have it. I have this. Do you want to trade these things? Yeah, okay. And then a socialist will come by. That's exploitation. You're exploiting that person because you're trading that wheat for a fucking shovel. This is exploitation. It's like, and then some guy, he produces a lot of wheat, so he needs to get some people to help him collect the wheat. So he gets some people to do it, and he pays them with, I don't know, bushels of wheat. And then that socialist will come by. You're exploiting those people by giving them bushels of wheat to help you collect the wheat. Everybody needs to get the exact same amount, even though you're growing it on your property, on what you bought with your land and all your blood and sweat. But no, divide it equally. It's like these people don't live in reality. No person likes that. No person thinks that fair. No person thinks that is fair. Even little children, they'd be like, you put a 6-year-old and he'd be doing all this, and then you say, well, now separate. They'd be like, that's not fair. Because it isn't. It's not fair. Capitalism is just better. It's just more in line with human nature than socialism. We're never going to be, let's make sure everybody gets equal amounts of everything, people, even the lazy fuckers that don't do anything. Let's give them just as much as what I get, even though I work 15 hours a day or something like that, right? Nobody's going to do that. It's just stupid thinking, idealism, no, if we just all, we just have pride in our job, we won't care how much money we get paid. That's not how people fucking work. Okay. People care about how much they get paid. They always will, because it puts food in their stomachs and their stomachs of their family. And, that's all that matters at the end of the day, is you, your family, and your friends, and your, and you can keep increasing that tribe to other people and stuff. But at the end of the day, most people, they only care about themselves and their families. And they will always think like that, because that is how we are evolutionarily prone to behave. And that is a good thing. If we didn't behave like that, we would all be dead. Or, we all have that need to do that. Yeah, fuck Bono. Bono's a faggot. I claim ownership over all of everything, leaving nothing for anyone else. And even you all can see how wrong that is. Property is theft. Right of use is better than ownership. You can only claim what you can defend. So you can claim to own everything you want, but can you defend it? No, you can't. So, we all understand property. Even animals understand property. You can look at a graph of wolf packs and how they interact with each other and different wolf packs, and they all know each other's property. They won't go into each other's territory, because they understand, even as animals, this is their territory. They defend it, they farm it, they hunt on it. This is theirs. It's like what you can defend is what you can own at the end of the day. Oh, well, we are animals. Let's be better than animals. Well, we are animals. What type of ownership? Who do you want to give? Who decides who owns what in your fucking ideal world? The democratic society as a whole, you're gonna get everybody to agree together on who gets what plot of land to work on or something? I don't know. Then I can't own anything because I can't defend anything from cops. Do we live in a free society right now? Or do we live in a status society right now? Do we live in one? No. We already live in a fucking status society where we don't have a lot of rights that we're able to have. The cops can do a lot of things against you right now, because we don't live in a free society. You don't own your land. You don't actually own it. The government owns it right now. The government owns your land, so they can do whatever the fuck they want to it at the end of the day. Well, I don't know, man. Be a socialist, Yeah, exactly. We pay rent to the government. So, we can't even claim ownership on this shit. Voluntarily trading voluntarily, and private property, owning things, because the whole basis of society is private property. Once you get that is the whole basis of society, and why we have civilizations. Without the concept of property and owning things, we wouldn't be able to live in cities. So we all understand fucking property rights. We all understand, buying things, putting blood and sweat into building something, owning it, I think we all get this just innately. But in the end, the definition of property is kind of loose. But at the end of the day, it comes down to, what you can defend. And Canada as a whole, we are a country as a whole, and the country we own is what we can defend. That's why we put money into our fucking national defense, to defend our country, because somebody else can come in and take it over. And then there you go. Because we can't take it over, that just means it's what you can defend. That's property. If the Chinese were able to get a huge force to come in and take over Canada, and we couldn't defend ourselves, then Canada no longer belongs to Canada. It belongs to China. They just took us over. It's what you can defend, what you can take at the end of the day. Like that's just a pure fucking definition. But, in society, we can come, in our own communities or whatnot. Yeah, we don't have to do it like, oh, I'm going to come and take your home and beat you and stuff. I believe in the non-aggression principle. You don't hurt people if they're not hurting you first. You don't aggress against people if they're not aggressing against you. So if somebody builds a house and that, and you go in and take it and steal it, that's theft. That's, taking something that they worked on, they built, and you're stealing it from them. Yeah, there's lots of problems. Okay, well, Scribbler, who should own land? Who should own land? Who should direct who owns land? Who should direct these things? The government? So you're gonna, but you cannot defend from that thief. It's their property. Well, at the end of the day, yeah, right? If you can't defend something from somebody and somebody takes it from you and you have no recourse to ever get it back, what does that mean? What does that mean? You know what I mean? Like, it means that it's no longer yours. Like, yeah, it was yours. You built it. You did all these things, definitely. But I mean, like, if somebody were physically able to take it, from you, it is no longer yours. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right and good and justified to steal things from people like another country would or something. I'm not saying that's what you should do. But at the end of the day, it's what you can defend. It is still what you can defend. Yes, property is what I put my money into and buy and I own. And hopefully I live in a society where I'm not surrounded by thieves and who respect property rights, because they understand I buy it. And they're like, wow, he put his blood and sweat into owning that product. So I'm not going to, trample on his property rights. Right. So it's like, people, they do understand. They're not going to trample on that if they respect it. But if somebody doesn't respect it, then yeah, they're going to try to steal from me. And it's not right. But yeah, if you steal a bike from me and I no longer ever see the bike anymore and you're driving it for the rest of your life, yeah, you pretty much own that bike now. That's pretty much your bike. Because I don't know where it is. You're using it every day. So at the very least, any country that outlaws foreigners from owning property in a country should get the same treatment in ours. Right. That's kind of what I feel like doing to a large extent sometimes. Property assessment near double recently. Right. You keep conflating Europe with individual countries. Who's that? Diaper? Yeah, I know. People like you know nothing about Europe. Yeah, fuck Europe. Europeans are faggots, okay? They're faggots, and go back to Europe and ruin your country more by letting in hordes of fucking immigrants and shit. So, fuck you. Fuck Europe. Only a sane authoritarian can displace the insane one. Watch OGW. She is not what you think. OGW? Old. Oh, I was thinking old white guy. I'm like, she? Like, old white guy's in a she. Linda. Johans, I'm not copy pasting. What is he not answering? You make copy paste. I know you American, Canada people complete black on Europe history. Like I said, screw Europe. Go and learn about Go and be informed and whatnot, and say, you don't know, well, our socialism is great. Yeah, that's why the fucking people in France are rioting and getting killed and being put in comas and all this shit, because it's so great. Socialism is so great in France and all these other European countries. Oh, it's so amazing. Yeah, like, fucking, they have like one or two places that have like a very homogenous society that's not taking in massive refugees, that doesn't have an illegal alien problem, that has people that are not necessarily abusing the welfare system per se, that a system that does have capitalism, does have private property where you can buy and own things. And also countries like Denmark, these places, they're heavily reliant on their natural resources. And what if these natural resources change and now you're using solar in the coming years that a lot of people want to switch to? Well, a lot of places like Denmark and all this stuff, the majority of their economy is based on off of like oil and gas and all this other energy shit. So yeah, that's going to change right away. You got a lot of government jobs in there working in these types of industries that are not going to be around forever. So it's like you look at a country and they have a huge diamond mine and they're like, look how great we're doing. We got 10 people to feed and we're just making diamonds. And they're comparing themselves to like another country that they're saying is like capitalist, that has 1 billion times their population, with tons more diverse population, with tons of illegal aliens. Like, this is a good comparison. This is a good comparison. Yeah, it's a good comparison if you're a fucking idiot, if you're dumb, When US economy crashes, ours goes too, they say. Yeah, right, It's the whole global monetary system thing that's connected to the American dollar, right? In Germany for the winter to visit his family, he says it's really bad. Yeah, right, Praise Germany. Praise Germany. Yeah, Poland is fighting back, apparently. So that is good. See, your country is going down, and it is. You know what, man? Europe is in a much worse spot than Canada is, man, because we at least have a border separating we have a big ocean separating us from Africa, although you're connected to Africa. So good luck in the next coming years when there's a massive influx of people from the south of Africa and stuff because of them and the starvation that's going to go on there. They're all going to move up into Europe. So yeah, think you're good right now, but we're actually probably in a better spot in some instances because we're not connected to fucking Africa and all these other Middle East and stuff like you are. See, look, you got these fuckers, it's from Europe. Your country's going down. And you're like, fuck you. People, like, we all don't want to be taken over. And then you got these other assholes that are being maybe taken over a bit less or a bit faster or whatever, going to be like, hey, you. Like, I always get these comments on my videos. It's like these people that are like, oh, you stupid Canadians, you voted for Trudeau, this is what you get, ha 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 ha, fuck you. And you're like, why do you treat everybody like that? It's like, not everybody voted for this guy, not everybody wanted this guy to win, but it's like, you're like, you're just an asshole. You're like, go fuck yourself. I have Asian friends who think Vancouver's too Asian. Yeah, exactly, right? So that's what I mean. Like, we can get allies from people of all different races to want to reduce immigration and to keep, a white majority population, Does it plainly as I can say it, right? Like, it needs to remain a Western majority population. I feel sorry for a Canadian being stuck with Trudeau. Yeah, man. Thank you for feeling sorry for us. I appreciate that. But, you know what, guys? I think it's getting a little bit late here. I appreciate you guys all for joining me. I think I'm going to go make some food. I'm getting pretty hungry here. But, thanks again. And, if you're a socialist, You can go fuck yourself. I don't care about you. I don't care about your opinions. And you're wrong, and you're always going to be wrong. And a mixture of socialism and capitalism is not a good idea. It's all capitalism all the way. None of this middle ground bullshit that people like to play. Well, maybe a little bit of this, a little bit of that. No socialism. None whatsoever. None. Let's get rid of it. Capitalism, free markets, freedom. That's what we need. Don't listen to these people. Well, just give up some of your rights and, but no, fuck you. Giving up, just listening to people like that is what got us into the situation we're in now. So no more of this bullshit. We need to wake people up. Oh, thank you, Linda. Hate speech is coming your way. We have oil. We have Greenland. See, that's what I'm saying. You have oil. What if you stop using oil and everybody switches to green energy in the next coming years? Then is Denmark going to be such a rich country then? We'll see. I'm going to get a second channel in case YouTube censors you. I do have a second channel, actually. If you go and you look, I do have a second channel you can subscribe to. I don't post anything to it, but go ahead and subscribe there just in case that this does get removed. Oh, thank you, Voltron, for the donation, man. I really appreciate that, man. Right at the end of the stream, I thank you so much for that. If you have a question really quickly, you can ask me if you want, but thank you again, man. I appreciate that. Every time I think you donated last time and the time before that, thank you so much, man. Oops, forgot to. But I'll wait for a second, if anybody has one more question or whatnot, then I guess I'll hang out for a sec. What is the second channel? I just put like AJ Illicits 2. It should be in my recommended, like if you go on one of my last videos and you look at the description and you look below, I'm pretty sure I put in description like this is my second channel in case this one gets removed. So you should be able to find it on pretty much any one of my videos in the description bar. At least we're not eating our dogs yet. Yeah, right? Not yet. Soon, but not yet. But, thanks again, guys, man. Thank you again, Voltron. I will. All right, guys. Have a good night. Take it easy.